The small village of Willowbrook nestled in a quiet valley, surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests. It was a place where time seemed to move slower, and the people lived simple lives. Among them was a young woman named Eliza, who had grown up in the shadow of hardship. Her father had passed away when she was just a child, and her mother had worked tirelessly to provide for the family. Eliza, now in her early 20s, carried the weight of her mother's declining health and the burden of providing for them both. Eliza often found herself wandering to the old stone chapel at the edge of the village. It was a place of solace for her, where she could pour out her heart in prayer. The chapel was modest, with stained glass windows that cast colorful patterns on the worn wooden pews. It was here that Eliza first heard the hymn "Jesus, My Strength." One Sunday morning, as the sun streamed through the windows, the small congregation sang the hymn with heartfelt devotion. The words resonated deeply with Eliza. "Jesus, my strength, my hope. On thee I cast my care. With humble confidence look up, and know thou hearest my prayer." Tears filled Eliza's eyes as she sang. She felt as though the hymn had been written just for her. Life had been so heavy lately, and she had been struggling to find the strength to carry on. But in that moment, she felt a glimmer of hope, a reminder that she was not alone. One evening, as Eliza returned home from the market, she found her mother in a particularly weak state. The doctor had warned them that her mother's health was failing, and Eliza feared the worst. She knelt by her mother's bedside, clutching her hand, and began to sing softly, "Give me a calm, a thankful heart, from every murmur free. The blessings of thy grace impart, and let me live to thee." Her mother's eyes fluttered open, and she smiled weakly. "Eliza," she whispered, "you have always been my strength. But remember, Jesus is yours." One day, a traveling preacher visited Willowbrook. He was a kind man with a gentle spirit, and he spoke of hope and redemption. After the service, Eliza approached him and shared how the hymn "Jesus, My Strength" had carried her through her darkest days. The preacher listened intently and then said, "Sometimes God gives us songs to remind us that He is near, even when the road is hard." Years passed, and Eliza's life changed in ways she could never have imagined. She married a kind man from the village, and they had children of their own. The little stone chapel remained a constant in her life, and she continued to sing the hymn that had brought her so much comfort. One Sunday, as she stood with her family in the chapel, she looked around at the familiar faces and the new ones. The sun streamed through the stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the wooden pews. The congregation began to sing, "Jesus, my strength, my hope. On thee I cast my care. With humble confidence look up, and know thou hearest my prayer."